part of something bigger, being a part of something bigger. And this was kind of a focus on the kids.
Yeah.
And I think kids and staff, but teaching the kids to look outside of their own little world. So kids, even good kids, are selfish just by nature.
Yeah.
We're selfish. We're self-absorbed. And so, but teaching kids to look outside their own self and say, okay, God has, we always talk about God has a plan for you, but God has a plan for you to impact those around you.
Right.
And sometimes when we talk about like Good Samaritan story or something, sometimes I'll talk to the kids and, we try not to have an obvious separation between kids that come on the bus and kids that attend church. But sometimes I'm trying to get the point across to our quote-unquote church kids that, hey, even though a kid might not dress like me, they might not have a family here, we need to be the Good Samaritan,
Yeah, we always need to keep the kingdom in mind and remember that it's not just about you and not about just your little corner, just your little space, just your church. There's a bigger picture out there. We need to always keep that in focus. And you just never know that person you might be interacting with or that Sunday school kid. You never know what could happen if you just do whatever God has called you to do. I mean, they could turn out, you just never know.
You never know.
I was thinking about just now, so a friend of mine, well, I call him my friend now, before he was just my barber, but I invited him to church for over a year and a half. Invited him to our events. We did the fireworks show and we do Heart of Christmas. I even offered to buy his family tickets to Heart of Christmas and just worked at it. There's moments I got frustrated and was like, I'm just not sure what's going to happen. And then out of nowhere, randomly on October Sunday night, he shows up for church with his family, and we were not having church that night. Like the 2 times we might cancel all year because we had October conference the week. That week.
So we just had a Sunday morning. Yeah.
And so I'm at Goodwill and with my wife or whatever, and I get a call from one of the brothers, and he tells me this, and I'm just like,
of all the times,
kidding me? So I got frustrated, but I just kept at it. And him and his family are still here since October. And because of that, then another family came, which is part of his family, and they've brought their friends, and it's just made this huge impact. I would say about 13. I think it's a total of maybe 13 between the 2 families. So you just never know what that one person you're interacting with, how big that can affect the whole kingdom. And the same with these kids. I mean, you never know that one kid could have a family of 10 at home that you just have no idea about.
Yeah.
Or they may grow up and have left and then remember, hey, that church I used to go to when I was a kid. And then they show up, and then who knows what God turns them into. You always got to keep the bigger picture in mind.
Yeah, exactly. It goes back to something I say often is this is what we do. And we're not, in one way we're results driven. We want to look for results and goals and all of these things. But don't expect that, let's use exercise. Don't expect that you're going to go run a mile today and you're just going to, all the fat and flab is just going to shred off tomorrow. It takes time and effort. And the real key, I'm preaching to myself here, the real key is to create a discipline and say, like what's James Clear with Atomic Habits says, I'm the kind of person that fill in the blank. I'm the kind of person that exercises. Not I'm going to exercise tomorrow. Not necessarily just saying that, but I am the kind of person that. And so going to your point of what you're talking about with that family is saying, I'm the kind of person that is a witness. I'm the kind of person that sets an example. I'm the kind of person that does outreach, all these things, and the results come.
If at the end of this life, you're walking through the pearly gates and you're walking through just by yourself, that is not a successful life.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
This is something I think about for me, and I think this is the mindset we all should have. When we walk through those pearly gates, we should want to walk through hand in hand with as many people as possible. All those are people that you affected and impacted during your lifetime, that because of you being around them or them interacting with you or being friends with you or whatever it is, it helped lead them to a saving relationship with God. And you can look to your left and you can look to your right and say, I've had a successful life.
You know, years ago, there's a song. Have you heard that song, Thank You for Giving to the Lord? It's an old song.
Mm-mm.
I think it's Ray Boltz, which I know there's some things about him recently, but he had some good songs.
Back in the day, Ray Boltz. We're not talking about more recent Ray Boltz.
Back in the day. I think, I'm not positive it was his song, but years ago we did a skit/play to it.
Mm-hmm.
The young people, in fact, Brother Chuck Mozingo, the late Brother Chuck Mozingo, is the one that directed it. And I was one of the kids in it, but it's thank you for giving to the Lord. And then it says, in the lyrics, it says, like, one by one they came, each one somehow touched by your generosity or something like that. And it's talking about this guy goes to heaven, and then somebody's, I don't know, I can't remember who it is, but the perspective of the song, but it's somebody saying, thank you for giving to the Lord. And then, so we all had, like, I think I had a hard hat on.
Mm-hmm.
So we were these different roles of people coming, and we were lined up, and it was probably a good 10 of us at least. And Elderber's back then, I remember he was crying.
Mm-hmm.
It was powerful. Just a little skit, to a song, like Human Video, I think they call them. But that's kind of, it made me think of it when you said that, is we should be, and bring it to Sunday school. It should be that we impacted these kids' lives because of our excellence, because of how much we pushed and said, no, it's not good enough. And we refuse to settle.
We're not going to settle. We're not going to just have it be mundane. We're going to keep pushing, because we know that if we do that, we're going to impact these kids in a powerful way, and that will lead them to a saving relationship with God. We want them to be saved. That's what it's all about.
Mm-hmm.
That's the bigger picture. That's what excellence will get us to, is having these kids not just come to Sunday school, but when they get older, start coming to church and really, ultimately, at the end of this life, be saved. That's what it's all about.
Yeah. You started this off, and now I normally am very careful with this, but I'm just going to mention it because, this is getting aired in the future. And so you started this off with talking about Daniel.
Mm-hmm.
And what's really cool is I got a text right before we started the podcast. I got a text for tonight's title and the premise behind the title. And it's about Daniel. And it's about that same exact line of thinking that you were just talking about. So you're anointed, brother. This podcast is anointed.
Brother, I was feeling it. Just not because I felt something about it, and then just in talking, it's just really, it's given me a lot of things I've been thinking about just while we've been talking, and even today when you sent me this, it's amazing to be a part of the kingdom. It's amazing to be a part of this thing that God's doing, and to have that spirit of excellence, to watch God use you in ways that you just never can you imagine Daniel himself probably was like, there's no way I could do anything, and then to be looked at in the way that he was, and to have the impact that he had.
Well, and when we look at something like that, and like I think of the Hall of Faith, the by faith chapter, Hebrews 11, it's not a choice. I mean, if they did that, can't we elevate our Sunday school just a little bit? I mean, can't we? And I'm speaking to us too. I'm not just blasting anybody out there. No. I mean, we got our backstage right now is a mess, and
that is your fault, Anisha. I'm just kidding.
She did, and she did come down with me the other night, and she did a bunch of cleanup. But it's still just terrible, and it's not her fault. But it's just terrible.
We're terrible to her back there, and I apologize. I get back there and I just throw my stuff on the floor. I say, "Here you go."
Hey, so I've told this story before, but I got to say it really quick before we end. Is when Brother Booker, Philip Booker, came the first time he came. He was on his podcast. He was talking, and that's Apostolic Children's Ministry 2.0. But he was talking about our Sunday school and a bunch of kind words. But one of the things he said, it was hilarious, is he's like, and they have a backstage manager that you get done with your costume, you throw it on the floor, and they hang it up. So man. That was prophecy, Brother Booker.
God bless her. She puts up with a lot of us back there, that's for sure.